Hello everyone, it's I, Mr. Big T Anderson, and this is Alice Never Came Back by Spider London, which made me think of Spider-Man in England for some reason. But outside of, Peter Parker on Big Ben, I probably could have said that better. Anyway, Spider London wrote it, artist is being credited, same with the fan fiction and all, but I don't know what art I'm going to pick yet because I'm recording before picking the art because... once again, time crunch. Anyway, Batman comic fanfiction. Yeah. Let's begin. Breakfast in Arkham Asylum seemed more quiet than usual, and everyone knew why. It was no longer surprising that whenever a certain purple suit-wearing clown escaped the prison alone, his girlfriend would always sink into a depression that sometimes seemed to affect health because she would be often stop going to meals or even rec time, opting to just stay in her cell and cry silently. The only thing odd this particular morning was that the Hatter didn't come to breakfast as well. Most of the inmates seemed a bit surprised by it, enough that they began to talk quietly to each other about guesses why Tetch hadn't come to eat. In her cell, Harley Quinn was curled up in her bed, facing the wall. Tears had by then dried up. She had just stared blankly at the wall as she tried muttering to herself that her puddin' would come back for her. He wouldn't leave her behind for too long. He always comes back. Mr. J will need me again soon. Of course he'll come back for you. She was pulled out of her daze. She became silent once she heard the voice that called out to her, though. She glanced over her shoulder to see the familiar blonde hair of Jervis Tetch. He had his back against the glass of her cell and didn't look back at her. She sighed and looked back at the wall. Why aren't you at breakfast, Hatter? You should be used to me being like this after Mr. J leaves me behind. It happens enough, she muttered to him dejectedly. The first few times Joker left her behind, she was like this. More of the other inmates seemed more concerned about her, but they eventually decided to leave her be whenever it happened, since it became obvious that they wouldn't be able to help her. Tetch looked up at the ceiling as he put his hands in his pockets. I could tell you needed a friend, he answered simply, not looking at her, since he figured she wouldn't be moving for a while. She never really does when she's like this. She scoffed at his answer, though. Don't pity me, I don't need it. Just go eat, Jarvis. He ignored what she was muttering to him and decided to continue talking to her. The jester always comes back for his queen, he mused before smiling with a bit of melancholy. That's more than you can say than Alice coming back for the Mad Hatter. When she didn't respond, he glanced into the cell to see her sitting up and looking at him with a small frown. He smiled softly as he moved into the room and sat next to her. He watched as he sat next to her before she quickly grabbed him, hugged him, thanking him. He hugged her back. No other words were needed. Some people may say this is a ficlet. Now, is it? Probably. It's under 1,000 words. However, it does provide an illumination that both Harley Quinn and the Mad Hatter do have something in common that we often forget about. So, that's why it's here. Hopefully I didn't butcher Tetch's name too many times. Anyway, hopefully you enjoy it. You know what to do. Subscribe, show your friends. The usual. Also, do the same with the artist and the fanfiction writer. They can use some loving too. Toodles.